All right. Hey, so I'm Emily. Thanks for joining us with Novus Coffee Imports. I'm here with Chris from Roasters Marketplace, and we are here today to talk a little bit about what it looks like to sell your coffee online, how it's different from a retail market space and or like your traditional brick and mortar marketplace, and kind of how to navigate that. So thank you for joining. I hope that this is informational for you. And if you have any questions, go ahead and ask away. It's going to be a little bit of a conversational sort of discussion, and hopefully it'll provide some good information, or at least get you started with some background knowledge and launch you in the right direction. So again, I'm Emily. I work with Novus Coffee Imports. We are a full-service coffee importer based out of Seattle, and I'm based out of the Portland area. We service the entire United States, and we are a part of Mercon Coffee. We deal with specialty, wonderful, small lot coffees that come out of sustainable farmer support programs, and we would be happy to chat coffee with you anytime if you ever want to extend on any of these conversations. So I'm going to turn it over to Chris. And Chris, could you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us kind of your story of how you got into coffee?
Sure. Thanks for having me on today, Emily. I really appreciate it. I always love chatting with you, whether it's online or offline or talking about kids or coffee. It's always a good time. So thanks for having me on, and hi to everybody out there tuning in today. I'm Chris from roastersmarketplace.com and the Common Grounds podcast. I kind of stumbled into specialty coffee a little over a year ago. I've been in the online retail market space for probably 5 years now, in different forms and fashions, from building, very simple websites to very complex CRM and ERP programs with 10,000 different SKUs in warehouses all over the country. And so I'm also a stay-at-home dad. So
with really cute kids.
with really cute kids. So if I have to cover the camera, get back. Go find mama. Thank you. If I have to do that, I apologize, but it's part of the charm, right, from working from home. So I fell into the specialty coffee space about a year ago with an actual farmer in South America that wanted a website, and he had the means to do it. And I started ordering coffee from small batch coffee roasters. I didn't even know it was a thing, and I didn't end up building a website for him, but I got addicted to specialty coffee, and I got addicted to the stories that come along with everything from the bean and who raised it to who roasted it and how they got into it. It just blew my mind that I could go downstairs first thing in the morning and have a cup of coffee that was roasted by my friend Tim, that was grown in a farm in South America by his friend, and then imported by somebody else. It was just an amazing experience that came along with it. And I wanted to share that more in depth with people and use my marketing background and my e-commerce background. And I built Roasters Marketplace. We curate small batch, micro batch coffee, depending on whatever you want to call it, from roasters all over the country and actually all over the world. I have a roaster in Guatemala as well. Currently, we have 28 roasters with about 260 different roasts available on our website. And you can search that by tasting notes, bean variety, elevation, country, all kinds of stuff. It's just been an amazing experience building it. And I launched a podcast to tell the story of the roasters as well. And Emily's been nice enough to be on a couple times.
Awesome. So with that, what do you think says, so your website is really awesome, and I encourage anybody to go on and check it out and explore how these coffees are are marketed. And you and I have chatted a little bit about the process when a roaster comes to you to get set up on Roasters Marketplace. I'm curious about a little bit about what the differences are between marketing your coffee in a brick and mortar retail store versus marketing your coffee online. First, is it a different type of customer who buys the coffee online than who's into your shop? Like, what kind of people are stumbling across coffees online?
February, I would have told you it was a pretty niche marketplace for the specialty coffee online, and it would be typically people that you would have met or interacted with somehow, depending on the scale of your roastery, of course, with people that you've engaged with at the farmer's market. They've met you locally, and they just, now they just buy from you online because it's easier than going to the farmer's market, and they get it dropped off on their doorway, whether you're doing local delivery or whatever. But then March happened and COVID-19,
Yeah.
and the retail marketplace for online sales is changing on a daily, if not, or weekly, if not daily basis when it comes to stuff. So people who might not have bought items online before, or used Instacart, or used any of those different things like that, now they're in that space. Now they're buying. Now they're figuring out, wow, it's way cheaper, or way more efficient, I should say, to get those wipes on subscription where they just show up every 3 weeks than it is to, oh, I got to go get this. Oh, I got to go get that. It's a lot more convenient. And as somebody who has been in the e-commerce for a long time, and a stay-at-home dad, and just been kind of limited on what I could do, I've been doing that for years. And now there's a lot more people in that marketplace. I would say the biggest overall difference is the marketing aspect of marketing your stuff online. Because if you're on Facebook or if you're on Instagram, as soon as somebody goes to your website, they're going to be bombarded with coffee ads from other coffee roasters and other coffee companies that have millions, or not billions, of dollars worth of revenue to throw at marketing. And so it's a hard space if you're trying to do something that if you can't scale nationally, I would say.
So,
was that big enough? Was that a good answer, or
yeah,
too big of an answer?
I'm a little curious about like what some of those, like when you talk about being kind of bombarded by like really large roasters, do you talk to when you talk to roasters when they're getting set up to sell their coffee online? What are some of the common struggles that they express to you? Like what are some of the common challenges that they're experiencing?
Marketing wise, it would be definitely reach of their ads and what they're looking at doing and how they've got it set up. If you're talking about Facebook Marketplace, or Facebook itself, which everybody's on Facebook, I mean, everybody is on Facebook, and it has one of the most powerful ad engines or analytics out there. Right. That, the algorithms that you can set up on there are almost endless on how you want to pitch coffee to people. And what I see most of the time is people trying to make a hard sell to a total cold audience, where, it's just showing up on my feed, and it's, some roaster I've never heard of, and it's shop now. This is the first time I've ever heard of you. The fact that I'm probably not going to buy from you, right, with just that bit of information, unless I am a national brand, yeah. and I have that already, that recognition of those national brands. If you're looking for shoes and Nike shows you an ad, you already know who Nike is. So that shop now button makes a little bit more sense. But I would have to say a lot of people that are running ads wrong on Facebook, or running ads on Google when they're marketing to the whole country and spending a lot of money, or spending what money they have on a area that they should just be, if you're in Seattle, which it's probably a hard market to advertise coffee for, but your local town where you're a roaster at, and you might have, between 10,000 and 150,000 residents in your town or city, that might be a better venue to maximize the ad space on, because you can easily reach those people in your local area
Sure.
and not have to compete with those guys who have millions of dollars to spend in marketing.
Do you see a lot of roasters who try to go like too big too fast? Like,
I don't have enough interaction with other roasters. I don't think it's more too big too fast. I think it might be scalability on what they can do ad spend wise, if we're talking about straight up marketing, or when you're looking at basic your e-commerce platform. What are you on? Are you on Wix? Are you on a GoDaddy site? Is your monthly budget for your website $20? Is your monthly budget $300? Is that WooCommerce site working for you? Is that Shopify website working for you? And that's kind of scaled on your traffic. It doesn't make any sense for somebody to have a really, really fancy website if they don't have the ad spend to push traffic to it. It's not going to go out there. People aren't just going to amazingly find you on the first page of Google.
Sure. So one of the things that I've been interested in with how coffee comes over. So let's say a roaster comes to you and they want to market their coffee through your site. How do you present that coffee? Like in an online space, how do you present that coffee to the potential customer? And is that different when you're thinking about your coffee in an online space versus I have an idea of what it should look like on a shelf, right? Like face forward, like all nice and even. But I'm really curious, like what kind of differences are you thinking about when you're looking at how you're gonna market that coffee online, online versus like it being on the shelf? What are you thinking about with that coffee?
Same thing. It needs to be facing forward. It needs to look good. Your product photos need to be on point. It needs to be, a good quality photo that you can see a label, you can see the name, you can see maybe the origin in that little 1200 or by 800 by 800 pixel square on the website, or what does it look like on mobile when it pulls up. Your first initial description is very important depending on what platform you are on. I see more success. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So with my 250 roasts on the website, you see more traffic out of the ones that have really good descriptions. It tastes like this. It tastes like lemon and caramel and cocoa, and it was raised here. All of those details are really good to have somewhere on the page. So if you want to put a story behind it on how you met Emily at the last coffee conference, and she called you up one day and said, I've got this wonderful honey processed Costa Rican, put it in there. But make sure when you put it in there, it's not before the buy button. Put the story on there, put it down in the description. That's very, very important on what that customer is looking for. Because one of the things they say, we actually scroll on our phones the height of the Statue of Liberty every day. But that's in one individual, not like the whole planet, but one individual can scroll the Statue of Liberty every day. But if you have to scroll too far for that add to cart button or that buy button, you're going to see drop-offs in sales. So you want a little bit of description depending on your website platform. And then you want, the buy button. And then you want some more details down below it. Your best picture should be the one that's the first picture then they see, and then they can see the one of your label and the one of the farm and one of the beans and the one of you roasting it. And just depends on how far you want to make that push and how much bandwidth you have on your website for that type of stuff.
Okay. That's awesome information. I hadn't even really thought about that. Do you find that that's pretty different from like what a roaster will put on their bag of coffee? Like I see a lot with like bags are oftentimes really minimal with information, and so translating what a customer is going to see on the shelf, which might just be the bag, versus what you have to put onto an internet platform, seems pretty different.
So I'm going to use, this is one of your guys, I think. This is Kevin's.
Oh yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, this is some of Kevin's coffee, delicious coffee. Very simple label. I don't know how well it's going to translate across through the webcam, but he's got everything. He's got his logo great big, so you recognize it, which is fantastic. He's got the name of the coffee, which in his case is the origin, and then he's got the tasting notes right there on the front of the bag. That is a perfect example of what you should have on your first description. Hey, it's from Costa Rica. It tastes like this, this, and this.
Okay.
That, buy now. Okay.
Yeah.
If they want to buy it now, they get it. If they want to read more, if you've already got them, then they can scroll up. So I think I think it bleeds over from what you see on the shelf to what you see on your phone. It's just kind of delivered in a different way. Tim from Evansville has he's got his nice big logo, really colorful. All of his labels look exactly the same. It's all got the information that you want on the label, and then he gives that to you in the same format for each product, which is really important. If somebody is on there and they're shopping through. Now, if you're a smaller roaster and you've got 6 roasts, have it all formatted the same. Have all your verbiage the same. Have the story, not necessarily the same words, but have it all formatted the same way.
Sure.
And remember that Google likes small, choppy sentences. It doesn't like huge, long paragraphs. It likes conversations, is what Google kind of looks like on the SEO side. And there's still the 800-pound gorilla in the room. But what they don't like is you loading words on the page of coffee, fresh roasted coffee, like repeated the same word over and over and over
Oh,
again.
okay.
And I actually that used to be the thing to do, was to trick Google like that, but their algorithm figured that out. And I ran into a roaster a few weeks ago online that's, you read through his description, and then below it was, a copy pasted block of 400 words that he was trying to, load the keywords for it. And what that actually does is drive your page traffic down, because Google sees that as bad, and has done away with that. There's plenty of SEO related tools for your websites, for most programs, for Shopify, for Wix, for WordPress, for WooCommerce, that will help you, come up with the keywords. You can do keywords research, which is really important. Also will help you say, okay, your title has this word in it, your page has this word in it 17 times, and then your tags rate you for this. Okay, so your SEO is green or orange or whatever.
Yeah.
That all comes into play. And don't think just throwing it up there is going to work. It's not going to help you in the long run if you're trying to build a huge e-commerce platform.
So that is a great segue into the next question I was going to ask you. I know you spend a lot of time looking at other coffee websites and looking at how people are marketing their coffee on their websites. What are a couple of common mistakes or areas of improvement that you see when you're looking at at websites? Do you ever, I know you've got a couple things you probably like explore websites and then they get a little cringy where you're like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
What are some of those things?
If you don't have, these are some things that some people look for, especially people who are, maybe they're really internet savvy and they just don't want to shop with something that's not quite they don't like startups, right? So if your email is not at your .com address, if it's Ralph's Roasted Coffee at Gmail, okay, that's a ding against you to some people, which is silly, which in some aspects. Or if you don't actually own your domain, it's Ralph's Roasted Coffee at wixsite.com. There's stuff that's not going to help you as you scale your business or move from one e-commerce platform to the other, and you start losing that SEO that you've built over time as well. There's little things that you can do, not having a secure website. The HTTPS means more than just HTTPS. It means your website's secure, and Google sees it as secure. You won't get a warning. I mean, when's the last time you went to a website and it popped up that this was a non-secure website, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I won't buy from you, and that person leaves. So if you look at national average for e-commerce, for any e-commerce store, you're looking at national averages between 2% and 4% that actually purchase something. So that means for every 100 visitors you get, maybe 2 or 3 people will buy your coffee. And a lot of people don't realize that it's that volume or that low of a number. And, if you're getting 4, 5, or 6% conversion rate, you're doing fantastic. Okay. I mean, you're doing fantastic in that market space for your roastery or for your company. And it's just hard to get those numbers. You want to sell 200 bags of coffee, got to get 1,000 people, 10,000 people on your website, which is hard.
Yeah, that's a lot. How about like with how the coffee is like visually presented? I mean, I feel like there's a wide range of how people put their coffee on their websites and what that actually kind of looks like. What's the best way to visually represent your coffee?
People are going to want to see the product bag, and they're going to want to see the person who made that. Most people aren't going to care what the beans look like. I mean, honestly, most people that are buying coffee from your website, unless they're hardcore coffee nerds, are not going to care how cool that heirloom Ethiopian looks. It looks really cool. Or the dark roast, how dark. Some people for the dark roast, they want to see the black beans or whatever. I don't know what's wrong with them, but there's, the coffee is not what you should be focused on, like the bean wise.
Right.
Your product, people want to see a face. They want to see you mess up on camera. They want to see lives. They want to see, you with your coffee, your kids, and your dog at the same time. If you're able to, of course you can have your dog in there when you're roasting, but that's what they want to see. People want to see people online, especially now when we can't see people as much as we once could.
Yeah, and that reminds me of like one of the cringiest things that I run into when I'm looking at people's coffee or like with their websites, is sometimes people just use like stock photos of roasted coffee, and sometimes those stock photos don't look very good. Like sometimes it looks like burnt, scorched up beans, and I'm always just like, oh, I hope that's a stock photo and not how you actually roast your coffee, because it doesn't look really that great.
So as a photographer, I'm sorry I interrupt you there. As a photographer, pay for the stock photos. Don't Google something and take it off Google and then download it. I always, I do photography on the side as well, and whenever your photo gets stolen by somebody and used on their website, it's not cool. I already had that happen one time on an AeroPress stand that we have online. Somebody stole it off my website and put it on their website, and it's not cool. It's
Yeah.
easy. Go pay for the stock photos. If you're using stock photos, go pay for it. If you can take them on your own, get good lighting, get a good camera, take the picture, edit it, shrink it down, put it online. But if you're using stock photos, use good stock photos. Shutterstock is an amazing resource. It's expensive, but they're good photos. And then there's, Creative Market and tons and tons of places you can get, pretty girl drinking a cup of coffee. Boom, and you get 30 results. So.
So I want to move into a little bit of once you've kind of made the sale with your coffee online, what are some of the things that we should be considering regarding shipping coffee? Like, what are some of the pitfalls or some of the strategies around best practices for shipping coffee?
12 ounces.
12 ounces?
12 ounces. If you can keep that shipping, so most people are, flat rate shipping or free shipping with purchase, and it all depends on how much you want to lose out on your margin on that. And if somebody can get, if it makes sense for you to say, hey, if you order $30 or more of coffee, then it's free shipping. Or if you subscribe, it's free shipping. So that means the lower cost you can get for your shipping, the better. Excuse me. 12 ounces. You can get first class mail anywhere in the United States, typically in 3 to 4 days, first class. Lately, it's not been that fast, but everybody's having mail issues. And if you can keep it at 12 ounces or 13 ounces and just tell the post office that it's 12 ounces.
Really close to 12 ounces.
It's really close to 12 ounces. It's 12 ounce bag in a bubble wrap, and you ship it. We ship a couple hundred bags of coffee every month, and they're every size, shape, container because they're coming from 30 different roasters. And the only issue I've had with shipping a bag of coffee and something coming open is one was shipped in a box that was way too big for the box. I mean, I don't know why they shipped the bag of coffee in a great big box. It bounced around and came unsealed. And then customs cut open one of my bags of coffee coming from Guatemala. So out of, several thousand bags of coffee, it's 2 instances I know of damaged coffee showing up. And they ship from poly millers to little bubble millers to Rivet. He's actually on the SCA website right now for his packaging because he's got a very nice designed box that it goes into. But once again, now you're paying $1.50 for the box that your $1.50 bag is going into, and then that's all cost. So using a shipping program that you can get discounted shipping rates through is very, very important. There's ShipStation, there's Pirate Ship. There's all sorts of local shipping companies that are even cheaper than USPS. You'll check those out regionally. I know in the Midwest, there's some crazy shipping that some of my roasters use to get, in Minnesota or Wisconsin. So look into that. If you're doing local delivery.
Explore your shipping options, it sounds like, for sure.
Right.
There's a lot of different options, not only just between, like, do I ship it UPS or USPS, but looking into these programs where you might be able to get additional discounts and help manage your shipping.
Because if it saves you 5 cents a package, and then now you're doing free shipping, now it's really saving you 5 cents a package. Or so I do customer service for a major online retailer in a whole different space. And, we charge flat rates at a different scale. They're $4.99, $5.99, $7.99, depending on how much your bag weighs or your package weighs. Well, you know what? On 100 of those packages that go out today, at $4.99, some of them we might make 15 cents off that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then 100 of them that go out at $5.99, we might be losing 15 cents out of it. So if you price it right and you play the numbers game on shipping, you're able to, I'm not going to necessarily say make money on your shipping charges, but you can at least almost break even if you
Okay.
do it right. And it's really hard to do right, and you've got to do it through a good program.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about was, so let's say you somebody's gone to your website, they've ordered your coffee. How do you turn that person into a repeat customer? Like, what are some of the things that you do to get that person to think about you when they run out of the coffee that they have?
So amazing. There's amazing automated programs out there that come with most of your platforms or are an add-on. For instance, with my other job, it's about $80,000 to $90,000 a month we recover on online sales from abandoned cart emails, which is
Mm-hmm.
just amazing. But how many times have you been on your phone looking at a product and you get a message or you get a
Mm-hmm.
phone call and you leave that product and you might not come back to it because you went to another page or the kids were crying or the roast was burning in the oven. But an hour later, you get an email that says, hey, you forgot about your t-shirts. Oh, I forgot about my t-shirts. And you order it. If you never got that email,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to order your t-shirts anymore. And
Right.
I say t-shirts because I just, ordered some new t-shirts, and they just hammered me for about a week. Every day almost I would get another email, and I just kind of let it go. I was like, well, this is cool. Let's see how long they're determined to get me. And some people actually shop like that. They know if they go and they add something to the cart, that if they leave it in the cart for a couple days, they might get a coupon. I'm sorry. I've just got to make sure this is not an emergency. Getting texted. Nope, we're good.
Okay.
Okay. So abandoned cart emails are very, very, very important. If your website's not doing it, you're losing out on money. I mean, just
Okay.
because you can set it up, it's automated as long as they enter that information in the cart during the checkout process, or if they're logged in, they'll get that. So abandoned cart, very, very, very important.
And that's an additional, like, you need to go and find somebody who can put that service on, right?
Most of your websites will have, hey,
Okay.
do you want to set it up? Or it's a plugin. For example, on WooCommerce, it's a plugin, or MailChimp does it on some stuff. I use Jilt. It's a different program with WooCommerce, and Shopify has its own whole program for there, but it's very, very important. And don't be really, send a couple of them. Don't just send one in an hour. Send them, be kind of aggressive with it, because those emails actually get opened up a ton, because especially if somebody's wanting your product and they're busy, you've got to remind them. There's a lot of studies that say that we're at something like 27 touch points now before somebody will actually buy a product from a new brand, and those emails count as touch points in that decision-making process. So if you're not capturing email somehow at all on your website, newsletter with an offer, you should be. You've got to capture the email when they come on to make the purchase. And it's got to be set up correctly to where they can say, hey, I opt in to having my email used as a marketing. If you're not, and you're just mass emailing people that don't necessarily sign up, or if you get an email list from somebody else, you can get blacklisted really, really quickly when it comes to spam email, and nobody will get your stuff.
Okay, awesome. How about, like, so you need the emails to kind of help get people to move that cart all the way through to checkout. But what's some of the follow-up that you would do after they've received their coffee to help hook them in and build that relationship?
First time person. I'm going to give you all my secrets, Emily. No, it's cool.
That's why
I want everybody to sell. I want everybody to sell coffee.
Also, you're really good at this. So people should also maybe just use you to help sell their coffee.
Yeah.
But
that's a
for those who don't.
great point. You should send an email that doesn't say anything about buy something else right off the bat. Thank you. You know, if you purchase coffee on my website, you get the confirmation order, you get all that stuff, and about an hour later, you get a handwritten letter from me saying thank you for supporting a small veteran-owned business. It means so much to me. How did you find out about us?
Okay.
Okay. So that gives me, if they do email me back and say, hey, I found out about you here, that gives you now you're talking to somebody as face-to-face as you can through email, and you can engage with that person. Hey, how'd you find out about us? Oh, I was Googling a coffee farmer's name because I like his coffee that comes from his farm, and you were my first hit. That was an actual reply I got back from the email. Somebody had Googled a farmer in Mexico, and I was the first hit. And that's
cool.
Okay, cool. So that's important. That means I need more farmers' names. But that touch point's very important. Your tracking emails are very important. That should send out tracking information automatically.
Okay.
Your follow-up emails, depending on if you're a small roaster, if I was roasting my own coffee and I knew I got every order out within 24 hours. Okay. So then about 4 days later, I would automatically send an email saying, hey, if you don't already have your coffee, it's almost there. You know, it's almost there. And then let's say 7 to 10 days after you ship, they should get an email saying, hey, how was the coffee? Was it good? If it was good, here's a link back to that product to leave a review, or to my Google page to leave a review. Or if you want to take a selfie with that coffee and post it to Instagram and tag me, do it.
Awesome.
You know,
yeah.
You want to engage them, because those follow-up emails are opened at a ridiculous rate. It blew my mind when I started looking at, at a small website. I'm like, wow, you know what? 60% of people are opening this. This is really cool. Well, now we're sending out 10,000 emails on another website, and 60% of those emails are getting read. So you're like, whoa, that's amazing. And then you can, that's a lot of emails, and you can't do it. One person can't do it, but if you can automate it and you make it feel personal, and if you do it right and you have that really good system set up to where that email automatically will recommend your best-selling products or your newest products, or maybe it automatically recommends that AeroPress that you actually make $15 off of when you sell it.
Right.
Those high conversion stuff. You then want to follow that up. Okay, how long does that 12-ounce bag of coffee last? You want to be like at 14 days. Do you want to send another email saying, hey, you're going to run out of coffee. You need to order coffee now. You need to also follow that up with another one. You just need to kind of edge and push people to order more coffee. If they don't like your email, they're not going to open it, and it's just going to go to their junk. But if they do like your email and they're opening it up, then you're getting sales off of it, and you're not actually having to physically knock on somebody's door to sell the coffee. So it's very important to have that method. Also very important to have those people that maybe fell off. They haven't ordered in 45 days. You're actually probably going to get an email here pretty soon, since you cancel your subscription, saying, hey.
That was my Father's Day gift that I got from my father-in-law, and they went and signed back. They were so happy with the coffee that they actually signed up, and now they're paying for their own subscription to get
which is awesome.
Get your coffee. So
which is awesome. It's such a, and you can engage people with newsletters. You can engage people, hey, this is what's going on. Make it personal. Hey, this is what I'm drinking. This is what's going on. This is what's coming. Hey, here's a special deal. You really want to try to engage people as much as possible and give them a reason to open up that email. And there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do that with copy. you know. So it's a lot of fun.
Okay, so my we're almost to the end, and I have one more question for you, and it's on the topic of complaints. So how do you handle what are some tips for handling customer complaints with their coffee order?
So identify the reason why. That's the biggest thing, you know. Identify what the problem was and see if you can make it up without them asking for a makeup. You know, come back with generosity, because that person that you sent them ground and it was supposed to be whole bean, and you tell them you're sorry, and you know, I'm sorry, I'll refund your money. Well, that's what they're expecting. You know, their money
Right.
back. Do something more. That way you turn that negative experience into a positive experience. I'm not saying give them another bag of coffee, or, you know, give them an crazy discount or a gift card or whatever, because the budget, your margins are so low on the
Right.
coffee. But figure out something that you can do to turn that negative experience into a talking point for them to go back out and say something good about the experience with customer service. Because everybody expects to get their order. Everybody expects their order to be right. Somebody's not going to talk about your order if it's right and on time. It's what they expect. You've got to, you know, you've got to go above and beyond that for that person. You know, one of my roasters sends out a cookie or a piece of chocolate or something in every bag of coffee he sends out. And so you're not expecting it until you're used to ordering from him, but you open up the box and there's a cookie. Oh, look, hey,
Yeah.
they sent a cookie and a sticker and different stuff. The positive experiences from a negative experience will get somebody to talk about your product way more than getting the coffee on time and it being good, because that's what they expect.
Awesome. So we're just about done. My last little question is really about Roasters Marketplace. So tell me a little bit about Roasters Marketplace, how a roaster can get hooked up with Roasters Marketplace, and what that experience is like.
So Roasters Marketplace is really, really cool. We
I
feature
agree.
small batch, we feature micro batch, small batch coffees from all over the country, all over the world. When I first started this, I was reaching out to people. I was like, okay, I like what you're doing with your coffee. I like how your sustainability looks on the website. I'll talk to people. I've turned down people from being on the website because I didn't like how they were sourcing the coffee or how they were doing it. I look for fresh roasted coffee to order. And in fact, I've got an email I've got to send out to say that's now all we're doing, because that's how our marketing's fixing to be. So it's got to be roasted the day of the order or after. There's just different levels of, roasters pay to be on the website. That's the bottom line, because the margins are so slim. And if you're in roasting coffee and you know it, you know that you're only making X amount. If you're getting good beans and you're getting good bags, you're not making a lot on there. And so I wanted to build a website that would help give small roasters more traffic on the web and more link backs and more, you know, I sit down and have conversations like this with my roasters all the time, for very cheap. You know, it's not a crazy amount of money, and I'm not asking for you to take 60% off of your coffee for me to sell it. So that's my goal, is to have, you know, 200 roasters that I have the biggest collection of coffee on the internet, and you can search by bean variety and somebody can go on and nerd out and be like, I want a yellow honey processed bourbon from Costa Rica. And you type that in the search engine and you get 6 results, and people are just, it's just cool. I also do some different things in the back that people don't see on the commercial side. So, my first cafe in Oklahoma just got its first samples today in the mail. So B2B is part of our stuff that we're doing now. And hang on a second, I'm going to get something really cool.
Okay.
So this coffee is actually on my website right now. Let me see. It's going to be white. It's okay. It's called the Weird Dark Roast, and it is a coffee for a murder mystery podcast.
Oh.
And so he reached out to me and said, Chris, you know, this is something I've always wanted to do. Can you help me out? I said, sure. And so it's actually going live on his website on Monday. His preview listeners already have links to it, waiting on the orders to start coming in. But the idea of that is I'm out finding more venues for you to sell your coffee. And then I call you up and say, hey, I need 5 samples from you for a cafe in Denver, Colorado. And you're like, what? Sure. Okay. When do you need it? I need it now, you know? But it's basically like having your own semi-personal marketing guy that's out there beating the bushes, looking for a place to sell your coffee and represent you. And you know, I backlink your website. I talk about you on social media. I'll share you on social media. If I see somebody talking about your coffee online, oh, that's great coffee. Because I typically drink a lot of the coffee that I sell. But it's just an interesting business model. And one day I really hope to have the largest collection of small batch and micro batch coffee roasters, from roasters that are only roasting 8 ounces a time to roasters that are roasting 15 kilograms at a time.
Awesome. Well, and I think you do a really great job. Like I said, I actually signed my father-in-law up for Father's Day, and he got coffee for a little while, and he was really happy with the quality. Well, one with like the different coffees that they received, and also just like the customer service with everything. So it was a really good experience for them.
Awesome.
And I know that you have that you're working with some of the roasters that I work with, and I know that they've expressed on the roaster side being really happy with
Awesome.
with the service and with the program that you're doing. And I love catching you do live interviews with people, and they go up on your YouTube channel. So that's really fun to watch the interviews with the roasters. I see that we have Stephanie watching, and she should be somebody that like you seek out because she's so fun to talk to about coffee. So I'm gonna like.
Does anybody? I still have time. I don't know how close your time is.
Do
So
you have
does
any
anybody
questions?
have any questions? Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? I would like.
If you have a question, you can pop off mute and ask your question. Type a question into the chat. Anything? I think maybe we don't have any questions right now. Yeah, Chris, thanks so much for your time. This was like fantastic. I'm so glad I recorded this because I'm going to go back and watch it and take notes, because some of the stuff you said was so good. And I'm really thankful that we have that you were able to share all your secrets with us.
I think the biggest thing I'd like to share with roasters is dominate your local marketplace. And I'm not saying that because I want the national marketplace. It's just the fact that, you know, there's people out there that there's companies out there that you're competing against on a national scale that they know that they're not going to make money for 6 years because they've got the backing of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And you can't compete with that for ad space. You just can't. You can't do it financially and make money on when you're making $6 a bag. And I would say dominate your local area, and you know, get old school farmers markets, cafes, local area, and you know, when you're at that farmers market, capture email addresses, have somebody sign up.
Yeah.
Have a QR code that people can scan to get on your newsletter. You know, just be able to capture that information to where they, you know, hey, you want free shipping? We'll show up at the farmer's market on Saturday and pick up your bag. I'll give you a $2 discount. You know, there's all sorts of ways you can do that. to drive